Hi, I'm Rani Jana, and today I'm with Prashant Verma. For our audience joining in, Prashant is an actor, singer, and formerly a fashion designer. But today he's joining us because of his new song release, which is called I'll Find a Way.
I'll find a way. I'll find a way. I'll find a way.
Many people might already know, but Outlook has done two issues on mental health. We did one in August 2025, which was freedom from the stigma of mental health illness, and the second one around October when it is the World Mental Health Day. So, we'll talk about the song, which also has a lot to do with processing trauma in, if I may say, unhealthily ways at times, if you see it like that. So thank you so much for joining us and congratulations on your new single.
Thank you so much for having me here.
So I'll start with the title of the song, which
Yes.
is called I'll Find a Way. Even before somebody clicks play, there is a message there, right? Like I'll find a
Yes.
way. It's like a motivation, it's hopeful. So how did you come up with the title and what was the inspiration?
I feel like the title came first in this piece. It's almost like a mix of a torch song and a battle cry at the same time. Because, like you said, the minute you read that phrase or that sentence, it's almost like a chant in your mind, no matter what. Whether you're finding it as a song or you just come across it as a thumbnail somewhere, it's a statement that I feel almost everyone has made at some point in their lives, and it's like a resolution.
Absolutely.
When in fact, like when I wrote this song, I was unaware of what it would end up being about. The thing about life or destiny is that it throws things at you which you never knew would be your life story. Also, I feel somewhere in this song, in the process of writing it, interestingly, the song actually has two parts. The first is when it runs with the chant, I'll find a way, and then it changes to we find a way.
So why that shift from I'll to we? Like at what point does it become not just your, personal challenge, but something that your community and other people around you can also support you with? The same thing we have issues with, like when we speak of mental health, right? Like there's so much isolation when it comes to if someone is dealing with something. A lot of people have this tendency of isolating, right? They try to move
Yes.
away from their friends, they don't want to meet up, they don't want to reach out, right? And then suddenly you realize you sit down with your friends and you discuss the issue or problem, and it doesn't seem as big as it was, in
Yes.
your head. So, how did you think of that transition?
History is um, one of the greatest evidence that you have of people making it through. When it was a personal point, the words are, I'll find a way. But when it comes to the larger talking of history, it's not we'll find a way, it's we find a way. There's an absoluteness to it that, like, history will affirm that in moments of challenge, people did march on. The two verses that I feel that sort of, since you spoke of mental health, uh, at the center of the song, the one most biographical part is I fetishized success, I objectified myself, and that which couldn't kill me left me longing for more violence. I'll find a way. And then the verse that talks about the world at large is all these days, all this pain, each one tries, each one dies, but we find a way. Love's not always the answer, but we find a way. And I feel like, like you said, you have friends, you have family, you have heroes. There are people we've never met in our lives, living or gone, whose stories help you even determine what the goal of your life is, what you want to do, how you process. You look at stories, you look at real life incidents, how people dealt with trauma in the past, and you try those things out. You see if it works for you. If it doesn't, you move on to the other. What's important is you reach out.
You transitioned your career from a fashion designer to music, which I've already mentioned to the audience. So I would like to circle back to that since we have
Yeah.
spoken so much about human behavior and artistic expression. So, how did that transition come about?
When I started off my career as a fashion designer, the people whose work really sort of not just inspired me, but like I said before, I looked at their work and I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do with my life. Uh, were very larger than life and artistically brave designers. I had the great privilege of having to intern under them when I was young. Both Alexander McQueen and John Galliano are designers who sort of worked at creating an entire visual universe, not just visual, actually, sonic and experiential. So when I stepped into fashion, the gold standard in my head was everything has to be brilliant. You have to be great at making clothes, prints, embroideries, accessories, shows, writing, music, imagery. And I did that and slowly realized, wait a second, this is what I might have actually admired when I was even looking at other artists or other mediums before. When I started showing at Fashion Week, my shows were sort of this strange amalgamation of clothes and performance. Fashion was at the center, and all the other art forms were around it to help tell the story. And eventually, it came to a point where I sort of exhausted my life experience of what I had to tell in that moment and stepped back to gather more. And it was a clear indicator that maybe the medium also needs to change. I didn't do it intentionally, it just so happened, that as I progressed from one show to the next, the imagery that was being done for campaigns and still photographs turned into short films and then moved into live performances. And acting and performance was something I'd been interested in my whole life, even in high school, because I had the great opportunity of working with Barry John as a director when I was younger. And then I moved on from fashion to start dabbling in other mediums. I started studying acting, I started studying music. One thing leads to another. You move cities. I moved from here to Bombay. I spent time in New York, and film, music, musical theater, fashion, pop culture, they are very different mediums, yes, but at the end of the day, they're also, like what we were discussing, they're so intrinsically linked to how we exist as human beings. And clothes become your appearance, music becomes a soundtrack to your existence. They're very different. How I moved from one to the next was slightly organic. It just, destiny is destiny.
I'll come to the music videos,
Mhm.
which many have regarded as provocative because of a deep exploration of gender and sexual expression in those videos and visuals. So, how do you take that? The provocative part, like.
I've sort of heard this word provocative being thrown around about my work from day one. It is what it is. I don't get to control the nature of the beast I've been handed. Don't get me wrong, there are times that when I come up with an idea, I feel, oh God, this could get me in trouble. That's because it is uncomfortable. That's because it is difficult. And there's nothing new unless it's uncomfortable. There's nothing new unless, and I don't mean this in terms of like just provoking people by giving them something to shock them. Just if it's uncomfortable for you to do as well, it is going to teach you so much. It's going to make you braver. It's going to give you more evidence in life that you took big steps and inspire you, or let's say, keep you motivated to keep upping your game as you evolve as an artist or even as a human being. Everybody has to take certain difficult decisions in life, whether it is picking a career that you want, which may or may not align with what people around you expect or encourage. Brave, difficult steps that anyone takes in their lives in any aspect can inspire others to do the
Absolutely.
same
Yeah.
in any field,
Yeah.
you know. So I feel if I start pulling back on being a certain kind of artist in my work, I fear that the same pulling back would start happening on me as a human being. And that would not be right. We should live in a world where we can um, do our best work, give our best love, share our best selves. And for that, you can't hold back and live, you know.
Do you have anything specific for the audience in mind while you made this song, or?
That's an interesting question. I'm at a loss of words suddenly because, like, I feel like having ambition and being able to serve as an artist are mutually exclusive, but in the world we live in, unfortunately, reality is not that way. You have to have clear goals with where you want your life to go, where you want your career to go, how much and how fast. So, yeah, I hope at one side, deep inside, that the song reaches a larger number of people, resonates with a lot of people, and helps a lot of people. But also, artistically, I do know that, like, when you create work, your responsibility is to just, like I said, tell the truth and put it out there. After that, what happens with it, who it impacts, is not in my control. Because strangely, the song, you know, came to me and came through me. So, in a way, I can't control the song's destiny,
Fair.
you know.
Yeah.
So, my job was um, to work hard and hone my skill set so that I could express this message to the best of my abilities.
Before we end this interview, is it okay if I ask you to maybe sing like 2 lines from your new song?
Sure, I can give it a shot because we both know the current AQI isn't very
Yes.
conducive, but
Yes.
yeah, let's try. All these days, all this pain, each one tries, each one dies, but we find a way. We find a way. We find a way. We find a way. Love's not always the answer, but I'll find a way. I'll find a way. I'll find a way. I'll find a way.
Thank you so much. That was
Thank
really
you.
nice. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.